This is the plaintiff, Joseph LaPiana. He says the defendants rented a home he owned and moved out a short time later after a torrential rain flooded the place. He was all set to have his contractor make the necessary repairs, but the defendants opted on moving out, so he let them out of their lease. Problem is, they wrecked the place, ruined the rugs, and banged up all the walls. He kept their security for the repairs, but they also owe him for 19 days' rent. So he's suing for $1,501.61, the money he's owed. These are the defendants, Ian and Megan. Ian says the house had a very big mold problem, so they brought in a mold specialist and were told the house was unsafe to live in, and he deemed the house uninhabitable. The grouchy plaintiff refused to look at the mold report. His daughter developed breathing problems, so they hightailed it out of there. Now the plaintiff is suing them? Ha! We'll see who's owed money. They're accused of house wrecking. The defendants have filed a countersuit for $4,803.49. For all, they're out.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket, the plaintiff rented a home to the defendants, but they bailed after a rainstorm flooded it. He says they damaged the house, but the defendants say the house had a big mold problem. It's the case of you break the mold.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay, Joseph LaPiana,
Yes.
You are suing Ian and Megan. You've asked us not to refer to your last name, so we'll respect that. Your former tenants for $1,501.61. Rent for 19 days they stayed there and didn't pay for. You have a counterclaim against them for $4,803.49 for costs associated with having to move because according to you, the place was infested with mold. Okay. Let me reverse. Normally I hear from the plaintiff because you're the one bringing the lawsuit, but I fully understand your lawsuit. They were there, they didn't pay rent. It's their defense that's kind of the meat and potatoes, and then I'll go to you. Let's hear from you. What's the deal? Why weren't you paying rent?
Okay, so we moved in March 18th. We were looking at the place, and initially from the outside, it looked like a lot of the other houses in the area was kind of run down on the outside. But we walked in and we were very impressed by how the inside looked. It had new flooring, new crown molding, he was working on new carpeting. The kitchen was all redone. So we were very impressed by what he was doing with the house. We walked down in the basement. We saw some water damage, and we asked him.
Did you notice mold in there?
There was no mold when we did the walkthrough.
Okay.
And so we pointed out the water damage and said once he finishes upstairs, his plan was to do the basement a month or two after we moved in. So we moved in, and I'll pass it over to my wife.
Go ahead.
So it had been raining over time, and we had noticed that some water was collecting in the basement. And on April 21st, I notified the plaintiff that there was mold.
You had moved in on what day?
March 29th.
And how did you first notice the mold?
I was downstairs doing laundry, and all of the walls in all of the rooms had this white fuzzy stuff on the walls. And I notified the plaintiff, and he said to open the windows in the basement because the air killed mold. And I said, well, I think it's a little bit more of an issue than you realize.
Did you send him pictures?
I didn't send him pictures. He's over at the property quite frequently, and I showed it to him. He suggested that I clean the walls off. I said I would do it one time, and if it came back, I would let him know. Right. We notified him. Then again in May, it was coming back with a vengeance. It had not only gone onto the walls.
Yeah, because now you made it mad.
Not only was it on the walls, it was also on the ceiling, and it had grown nearly 6 feet on the ceiling in the basement.
Do you have pictures?
We do. They're on digitally.
Okay, so go ahead.
Yeah. Initially, this is how most of the basement started to look. And we had
mold climbing the wood paneling.
Yes. So in any case, that's next to my washing machine.
Is that behind the washing machine?
Yes.
And what, if anything, had he done to rectify it?
He brought a dehumidifier in May, and then his handyman contractor informed him that that was actually going to aid the growth of the mold, and he took that away. That's just what. Well,
you eventually hire a mold expert.
We did.
Did they say that a dehumidifier would aid in the growth of the mold?
They said it would prohibit the mold growth.
Oh, okay. All right. I just want to make sure I haven't been misinformed for 52 years. Go ahead. Go on.
That is the 6-foot span of mold that grew within 2 weeks on the ceiling, and it just continued to grow.
When did you have the mold experts in there?
June 3rd. Because
And this they said was toxic mold.
yes.
What's the difference between toxic mold and non-toxic mold?
But there are just some general molds, like your bathroom mold common. This is a mold called
What do you mean my bathroom mold? Go ahead.
Yeah. This is a toxic black mold called Stachybotrys, and it's known to cause brain damage and breathing problems. And my daughter actually had severe asthma while in the home.
Do you have medical proof of that?
We do.
May I see it?
Yeah. She had actually gone into an asthmatic spell where she stopped breathing in the home and was on breathing treatments every 4 hours.
Why didn't you get out of there? Did you, I mean.
We looked for a home as fast as possible. That day that she stopped breathing, we did vacate to a hotel.
No, I mean, like, stop breathing, exactly.
Yeah.
That's it. So you did?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Yes.
That's okay.
Yeah.
And you didn't come back?
No, we moved in with my mother-in-law.
Did she have asthma already?
No. And in fact, once we vacated the premises, within 6 days, the asthma stopped.
Listen.
When you present him with the mold report, it's what? It's early June.
June 3rd.
And what are you asking him to do? I want you to properly address this?
Yes.
You
Yes.
weren't asking to move out at that point?
No, well, the mold report did say that we had to vacate the premises for it to be properly repaired.
Okay. Now stop a second and let me hear from you.
Okay.
Where do we begin? Okay.
Let's
It's
start
kind of
from-
nasty looking, right?
Yeah. Well, let's go piece by piece. I want to deconstruct this so you understand this. Okay. I addressed it as quickly as I can. Okay. Megan,
Hold on a second. She says that you address it by telling her to open up a window.
No. I responded, and I have text messages, and we can look at my phone. How I responded impeccably and timely. Now, in terms of the mold. Okay, let's be clear. That came up in June, okay? When that came up in June, that was a serious issue that I addressed. I immediately said...
Are you saying she didn't notify you in April and May?
She talked about, different things. Megan is a hypochondriac, okay?
The medical evidence that her daughter had asthma.
No, I could poke holes through everything that she said.
Why don't you poke holes through this?
Okay. Well,
close
listen,
to the
I'm not a doctor, but what I will say is that I'm an honorable person. I respond to everything. If there was a true health crisis there, I'd be all over it, okay?
So you say you have text. Do you have texts or emails where you're notifying him of the issues or certified letters? Remember those? Remember certified letters? Something to show when the notice...
I did have a text message on my phone.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have your phone here?
It ran out of battery.
Okay, I can respond to
Do you have text messages?
Yes, I have
see?
text messages.
The first text message
The first text message was when?
was sent on April 21st.
Okay. Let me see the text messages between you.
I'll look for it, but the thing is...
No. Now look for it. I want to see
that's
when.
fine.
And you don't have a way to prove when was the first time?
Unfortunately, I don't. My phone, like I said.
That's unfortunate. Didn't you think that might be proof?
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe you should have charged your phone. April 21st, I think there's mold issue in the laundry room. I meant to address this yesterday with you. There is something growing on the walls. They need to be treated somehow with bleach water or something. In New York City today, I will look into this week. Mold forms with heat. Keep cool, open, all windows, fresh air kills it. I will do it this time. If it keeps up, we have to find another solution. Okay. So it sounds like in April is when you addressed it, and in June it has come back. This is the next time in the text. There are large patches of dark black mold beginning to form on the ceiling portions of the ceiling in the basement in several places. I grew up on the East Coast. This is way beyond the normal scope of basement mold. Then he responds, I can have Charlie make a make a recommendation for a fix. Who's Charlie?
My
That's his-
contractor.
Okay.
His contract.
And did Charlie go?
Charlie did come.
And then?
And he said that the whole entire basement needed gutted. He said it would take some time to get that done, and he was going to bring it. I said, well, how are you going to gut it? There's no doors or anything down there. And he said, we'll have to bring it up through the basement.
Okay.
And I said, into the main living space. And he said, yeah, well, that's how we're going to have to do it. And he said, I just put these new windows in, which are down there. He said, I can't really remove those. And I said, fine. I said, but I'm not sure I'm okay with it coming into the main part of the house. And at that point, my husband, when he came home from work, my husband and I talked, and we ordered the mold inspection report that evening. It says that the occupants shouldn't be permitted in the affected areas for the duration of the bioremediation. During the remediation, all workers must use full respirators, disposable Tyvek coveralls, rubber gloves, because the black mold is very dangerous.
Okay, so talk to me. Go ahead.
What happened was black mold appeared in the ceiling. It was never there, okay? It appeared, and that's when the alarm bells went off. I responded swiftly and appropriately.
And said what?
And said, it will be...
How will it be eradicated?
I will have a contractor immediately come in there,
right,
look at it, because...
And he did.
Immediately.
The contractor came in and said...
The contractor came in.
And said, I have to rip all this stuff out, and there's no way out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it up the stairs.
No, the contractor never said that. She said that. I don't understand where she got that information. It was coming through the house. That's not how there were like 9 windows down there. All the material, it's all been removed. Everything is fixed. It's all gone. Everything is gone. Every stud, everything.
Do you have a receipt or an invoice for that work?
You have the evidence of the receipt.
Okay.
From the contractor.
Okay, this was done August 9th. Mm-hmm. You guys moved out in July. Tell me how it leads to the decision that they'll just move out.
So if you lived in a house and there was some kind of a mold problem in there, would you bail automatically or would you stick it out?
I would stick it out. I would first talk to the landlord, tell him what the issues were, and say, how are you going to fix it?
You're nodding.
Yeah, I mean, if I already invested money into this place, and I'm a young guy, so the mold's going to take a while to process through my body. So, I'm going to stick around for as long as I can. Then you sue later.
You know what the problem is? I fear you're serious.
Yeah, I'm definitely serious.
I know, I fear for you. Wow, going inside the courtroom.
What had occurred is when Megan said to me she wanted it taken care of, I said, I will eradicate it immediately. I will have my contractor in there to start immediately. She said, no, unacceptable. Here's the way it has to be done.
And what does she say?
And she said, you have to do it this way with these people. And I said, Megan.
Meaning she wanted you to use her contractor.
She bullied me into using her contractor,
well,
right? And
she didn't bully you into using it because you said no.
Well, I said no at that point. And I said, I will eradicate it. And then we were at a stalemate. And I said, Megan, respectfully, if this isn't good enough for you, I will relieve you of your obligation in the lease. Is that okay with you? And she said, yes. And I said, you can go as soon as you want. We can work this out. However, we worked it out. We have emails saying how we worked it out.
Do you have the email?
Right here. Number 1. Let's see. Here. Can you hand this to him?
Yes. Dear Megan and Ian, after our conversation Friday, June 7th, I offered to relieve you from your 2-year lease obligation with me. You have accepted and will be moving out on July 15th. On July 15th, I will inspect the house and assuming there is no damage to anything, I will return your $306.27. Was there any damage?
Yes.
What was the damage?
The house was left in a mess.
I've seen pictures of the house. It
No, the upstairs.
Show me pictures of what was left in a mess.
Your Honor, will you
show me pictures of what was left in a mess?
Okay, I do not have those.
Okay, Linda, how are you going to prove what was left in a mess? She's got pictures of it looking impeccable. What do you mean?
Okay.
I mean, I know that she could just take pictures of what she wants, but then your side's supposed to show me pictures of the mess. It looks impeccable. So how is it left in a mess? You can't just nab their 306 that way.
Okay, the house was brand new when they came in. 3.5 months later, there were spots on the carpet.
Show me pictures. Show me proof.
Okay.
Okay, folks, here's how I see it. First of all, this is not a case where you've been screaming at him for 2 months and living under agony for 2 months and the guy's been ignoring you for 2 months. I don't think that that's the situation. I think he was a very responsive landlord.
Right.
The problem doesn't surface again until the beginning of June, just like he said. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not a problem. That doesn't mean it's not a problem that makes everybody panic. Mold is mold. But they have documented medical proof that the kid was actually going through asthma over it. That's different. I'm not messing around anymore once that happens. Once that happens, I'm out. I'm out. And the fact that I'm out is not my fault that I'm out. I'm out, and if I incur some costs, it's on you. Now, some of these I agree with, and some of these I don't. And I'll tell you what I agree with and what I don't. I agree with you with the mold inspection report, because I think that that's important. I don't think you can skimp on that. And I understand that a landlord might say, don't worry about it, don't worry about it, but you don't want to don't worry about it. You want to worry about it. And you had a reason to worry about it because look what happened to your daughter. So I agree with you on the mold inspection. I agree with you on the security deposit because he's not able to prove that there's any damage. I agree with you on the moving truck because this is an extra move that you weren't counting on. And I agree with you that the inhabitability of the basement allows you some kind of rebate. Not full ride like you're suing for. You want a full ride in June, you want a full ride in July. That's not how it's going to be. So when I take into account the number of days that you were there in July, and I take into account the expenses that we've already gone over, and I subtract those figures, I do end up with a net judgment in your favor in the amount of $750. That's my judgment. Good luck, folks.
Well, let's see what the plaintiff, the landlord, thinks about this award.
Well, I'm a little disappointed what the results are here. I thought if anything, it should have been a wash. They shouldn't have gotten anything. So she made a case of it, and she made an obvious case here, and that's what was that.
All right. Documents are waiting for you right around the corner this way.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. So step on in here. You sued for a lot more than you got. What do you? It's okay.
Yeah, I think it was fair. I mean, the landlord, he wasn't a irresponsible landlord in many cases, but the house was not habitable or safe for my child. So I understand what she was saying about not being entitled to everything.
We thought he was a good person. He just ran out of funds and couldn't take care of the house properly.
Okay. All right. Over to Harvey.
Okay, so there's this thing called a warranty of habitability. It's implied in every lease. It doesn't have to be written out. What it means is that you have a right to live in reasonable health and safety. And if there's a breach of your health or safety, you can bail and you can get your security deposit back. And if there's significant mold, that qualifies. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.